I'm going to try my best to get through this. I'm going to try my best, my absolute best to get through this. Jordan Peterson made a whopping this is a short film. Folks, I want to be very clear. This is a short film. Okay? This is a short fucking film. Like, this should be like, I want to buy this on Blu-ray. Like, this is a short film. Okay? So I'm going to try my best to get through this.
That isn't what it meant.
Well, what did it mean then? Explain.
It meant that it's indicative of low-resolution thinking.
All right? So, backstory. Jordan Peterson tweeted some bizarre bullshit about Elliot Page and, like, their medical history. Misgendered Elliot Page, like, I think twice or whatever. And then called, like, whoever his doctor is, like, a criminal or something. And then you know, like, Twitter has this thing where it's like you're suspended until you delete the tweet or some shit. And he's like, I refuse. So then he decided he's going to write and produce a short film. So now we have a short film that was produced. And I've seen a couple of clips of this. And honestly, now again, Jordan Peterson is the same guy who, like, cries. He's been crying on streams. He's going on a cry tour. Hold on, let me get this video.
It's like, oh, Abel's your guy, eh, God? How about if I take him out in the field and beat him to death? How do you feel about that? All my sacrifices went unrewarded of the hell of things.
Look at him. He's literally crying.
It's like,
he's crying. He's crying. Like, he goes on podcasts and cries all the time. It's like, this is what he does. He's on a cry tour. And so the guy who goes on every show in the world and cries, breaks down in tears like a child, is now going to tell us why he's refusing to back down. Let's watch.
a few days ago, I penned an irritated tweet in response to one of the latest happenings on the increasingly heated culture war front.
Okay, so first of all, this motherfucker, I penned. Like, it was like a half sentence, poorly, like, worded, grammatically bizarre, like, rant. He penned. He penned? Motherfucker, what? You didn't pen anything. You typed some bullshit on your fucking phone keyboard that didn't even make any sense and was grammatically illiterate. That's not penning anything, but okay, let's keep going.
In response to the decision of an actor named Elliot Page, I am employing this awkward and impossible naming style because it is now apparently mandatory and am probably doing it wrong nonetheless, as you're doing it wrong is the whole point of what has been made mandatory. But also, I'm trying
Okay, so first of all, what? Like, calling someone Elliot is awkward and impossible? What? Calling someone an actor is awkward and impossible. Oh, you know that actor, Elliot Page? I just did it. I just did the impossible. Oh, have you seen Elliot Page's new movie or TV show? I don't know. Awkward and impossible. What?
to make a point. I've essentially been banned from Twitter as a consequence.
Now, what's really funny about this is that he has not been banned from Twitter. His account is temporarily suspended. Right? So, like, he's making this big hoopla over nothing. He made it up. It's fantasy.
I say banned, although technically I have been suspended. But the suspension will not be lifted unless I delete the hateful tweet in question, and I would rather die than do that.
Well, first of all, Jordan Peterson, hey, I didn't say anything. He's the one who said, he said, I would rather die than delete a tweet. I'm sure that many people on planet Earth would not have a problem with that. I'm just saying, I'm guaranteeing you, you don't want to delete the tweet. That's great. That's fine. That's wonderful. You do you, okay? But also, can we have a serious conversation? I would rather die than delete a tweet. What? Isn't this the same guy that, like, deleted his whole Twitter account, like, a couple of years ago? Like, I would rather die. Like, who the fuck says that shit? Like, I get it, man. I get it. Sometimes, like, fucking a bot, like, will, like, pick up on your tweet and then think that it says something that you didn't actually say or didn't mean. And then you feel like, oh, do I really have to do this? I get that. But my God, man, I would rather die? Holy fuck. Okay.
And hopefully it will not come to that, although who the hell knows in these increasingly strange days.
Okay, so wait a second, what?
But the suspension will not be lifted unless I delete the hateful tweet in question, and I would rather die than do that. And hopefully it will not come to that, although who the hell knows in these increasingly strange days. What was it that I said?
Okay, so wait. I would rather die. Hopefully I won't die. But who knows? What the fuck? Who says that? Who says that? Who says that? I would rather die. That's already fucking freak show territory. And then he says, hopefully I won't. What? What? Hopefully you won't? I mean, I'm pretty sure you won't. And then he's like, who knows in these strange days? I'm sorry, what? What? Okay, so keep in mind, we're only 1 minute in. I'm going to try to get through this. We'll see.
That caused such
Okay, I'm sorry. I need to point out, by the way, that he has 2 cameras. Do you ever, like, what is with this thing where, like, the people have the camera, right? And it's just, like, them, like, and I would rather die. Like, look at the camera, motherfucker. I would rather die. Like, this does not make you look any more serious. Having, like, you talking to the wrong camera lens does not make you look any more serious. It makes you look like a fucking moron. It makes you look like you have fucking stage fright or something. Like, you're afraid to look at people in the eye. Like, that's not a thing. That's not a thing, okay? Like, what is with this weird multi-camera bullshit? It's, like, overproduced. This is a short film, by the way. Like, that's why this is the way it is. This is a short film.
Strange days. What was it that I said that caused such a fuss? And that fuss is just beginning. And even more importantly and complexly...
I just want to say, that fuss is just beginning. First of all, no, it's not. It's ending. Literally, like, this whole situation happened like a week ago. I think 99% of people forgot about it entirely until this video dropped yesterday. So, like, the fuss is just beginning. It's not like everyone is, like, enjoyed, like, people are writing daily columns. Everyone's writing books about Jordan Peterson. He's in every newspaper. No, everyone forgot about this because no one cares about this guy except for his weirdo cult of freaks, right? The fuss is beginning because you are perpetuating the fuss. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy.
What exactly was it that I said that resulted in the ban? Here's the tweet in question.
Oh boy.
Remember when pride was a sin? And Ellen Page just had her breasts removed by a criminal physician. Then a link.
So, again, this, grammatically speaking, now, I am someone that I don't mind starting a sentence with and. I think that that's okay. Right? Is it technically correct? Who knows? I think it's okay. But also, remember when pride was a sin? First of all, what? What? Pride was a sin? What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Second of all, why are you bringing up some random person's medical history? Like, I don't know, man. Like, remember when pride was a sin and Jordan Peterson got addicted to benzos? Who cares? Like, well, personally, I think it's funny that he got addicted to benzos. The guy that wrote a book about how to clean your room and how to fucking live your life with maximum efficiency got addicted to benzos. I think that's hilarious. Now, again, like, a lot of people say that, I don't think it's fair to make fun of someone's drug addiction. Hey, I'm a drug addict. I got my addictions, okay? I think it's perfectly fair to make fun of someone's addictions. Like, if I go on my show every day and talk about how I think eating meat is stupid, and then you catch me at a restaurant eating a hamburger, I think you're more than welcome to make fun of me for that. It wouldn't happen, but I'm just saying, if that were to happen, I think that that's fine to make fun of me for that. But again, so this guy who wrote books on how to help yourself got addicted to benzos. You might be thinking, who cares? I might also be thinking, who cares about Elliot Page's personal medical history? I don't. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? It has nothing to do with anything. Like, and again, grammatically, this makes no sense. It just, like, I can't. This is the dumbest shit in the world.
To a story that detailed out the happenings. The response from Twitter, quote, violating our rules against hateful conduct. You may not promote violence against, threaten, or harass other people on the basis of race, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity.
I just want to be very clear. Once again, this is a short film. Like, he is delivering the script with a maximum efficiency. You may not! Like, this motherfucker is really studied his lines really well.
Religious affiliation, age, disability, or serious disease. By clicking delete, you acknowledge that your tweet violated the Twitter rules. Delete. If you think we've made a mistake, submit an appeal to us. Please note that should you do so, your account will remain locked while we review your appeal. Let's take this apart. First, it is clearly the case that I did not promote violence against or threaten anyone with my missive. So that leaves...
So, again, the rules, like, it's a broad... Now, again, we can talk about how social media has, like, really vague rules that don't really make any sense. I'm down to have that conversation. But it literally lays out, like, promoting, harassment against, harassing, you know, attacking their fucking disabilities, attacking them based on race, gender, whatever. It's all in the same category. It's all in the same classification. No one is saying that he is committing violence. Okay, motherfucker? That is one possible example that does not apply here because they use an arcing, like, fucking broad list of possible examples.
Leaves the arguably lesser sin of harass. Let's assume, since I wasn't informed, that that was the crime. And further, harassment on the basis of so-called gender identity, since Twitter did not do me the favor of actually specifying my crime, and there are many possibilities on that front. We unfortunately have to guess at why this has occurred, and that's
so again, I'm down to have this conversation of, like, oh wow, social media companies will just, like, ban people or give them strikes, and they'll say, like, some shit that does not apply. That happens all the time. Like, I've gotten strikes on my YouTube channel, right, for promoting that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. I have said multiple times, Donald Trump lost the 2020 election, and then YouTube will give me a strike for doing the opposite. I never did it, and I appeal it, and I say, I never did that, and it's all robots, and it's all vague garbage. I'm down to have that conversation. That does not apply here. Okay? And then also, Jordan Peterson, look at the view count on this video. It's got well over 1 million views. One of the biggest problems with social media and how they mismanage strikes and enforcement is when they do things on people that don't have 1 million viewers, when they do things to people that don't get mainstream news articles written about them, and so no one cares. But this is a clear-cut infraction, my dude. This is not something that you can, like, right? Like, that's not a thing.
Actually a big problem in and of itself, and also indicative of the utter carelessness of the Twitter organization with regard to the propriety of its own censorial actions.
What?
I should at least know exactly what I did wrong if I am required to acknowledge that my tweet violated the Twitter rules. What rules, you sons of bitches? Exactly. Precisely. Because such tweet violated the Twitter rules. What rules, you sons of bitches? Exactly. Precisely. Because such things matter when the accusations start flying. So what did I say that might constitute harassment? Well, many things, hypothetically. Let's begin with, remember when pride was a sin? Although that is...
I've got news for you, Jordan. The Bible is made up. Pride was never a sin. Wherever you got that stupid fucking shit from, they made it up. Pride was never a sin. Gluttony was never a sin. Greed was never a sin. You want to know why? Because there is no sin. They made it up, and your dumb ass read a stupid fucking book, and you thought it was real. It's like if I read 2001: A Space Odyssey, and now I start saying, oh yeah, you know about how in ancient, history, like, the aliens put the monolith there, and then the human, like, no. They made it up. It's a book. It's fantasy. It's fiction. They made it the fuck up. So pride was never a sin. It's not real. The Bible is fake.
Merely a factual statement, because under the old rules, applicable even a decade ago, pride was a sin.
What?
And had been recognized as perhaps the cardinal sin for thousands of years previously.
What? What? Okay, so 10 years ago, Twitter's official rules stated that pride was a sin? Bro, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what is this guy talking about? What? Thousands of years pride was a cardinal sin? Why does anyone take this guy seriously? He's a Christian fundamentalist. Why would anyone take this guy seriously? How can anyone who claims to be like a free speech person support someone who's a Christian fundamentalist who literally thinks like the Bible is the word of God and it's like a historical document?
It still might be regarded as unacceptable to the woke authoritarian moralists who now insist, for example, that we celebrate Pride Month, not hour or day or week, but month, and who have literally called it Pride Month instead of LGBT plus month or whatever else alphabet acronym which is currently insisted upon as the only acceptable enlightened terminology.
I just want to say, in my personal opinion, I think we should use the word queer. Personally, I think queer is the best term, but that's just me. Okay, that's just me. But also the woke authoritarians, like, what does that mean, woke authoritarians? Like, correcting someone who says the wrong thing does not make you an authoritarian. If you've got a friend who, let's say that, you met them online or whatever, foreign exchange student, whatever, they don't really speak English too well, and, they call, like, a chair, like a bed. If you correct them and say, oh, that's not a bed, that's a chair, is that woke authoritarianism? Like, seriously, I'm just wondering. If you correct somebody, oh, no, actually, that's the wrong word. That's not being woke. That's not being an authoritarian. That's called helping someone out.
I don't regard pride as a virtue. It has been classically regarded as a sin. I don't see that sexual orientation or sexual desire of any sort is something to celebrate or to take pride in. And so what I said was merely a fact. Now, it's possible that I hurt someone's feelings because I...
Now, again, the guy who's referencing the Bible as a historical document is going to tell us about facts? What? What? Like, I'm just saying, what? The guy who literally said that pride was a cardinal sin for thousands of years because the Bible said so, he's the authoritarian mastermind of facts.
Pointed out that pride goes before, for example, a fall, but I don't care about that, would do it again. And also consider it my duty to warn those who are about to fall into a pit that the path they are on leads suddenly downhill.
What?
But that was probably not the reason that I was banned from Twitter.
Now again, I
Although,
just want to be very clear. This is fan fiction. This is a short film. Like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Now we're falling into pits now? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Said I am in the position of having to guess. Next phrase to interrogate. And Ellen Page. Now, why did I stop there? Because in all likelihood, it was this seemingly innocuous phrase, including the name of a well-known actress, there I'm in trouble again, that likely resulted in my ban. I committed the fatal crime of what has come to be known in the appalling sensorial terminology of the insane activists as dead naming, which is the act
I have a question. If somebody gets married and changes their last name, right? Would you or would you not refer to them as their new last name? Now, also, imagine a scenario where you don't even know their previous name, and then you find out, what is that person's maiden name? I found it out. Like, I mean, like, seriously, people change their names all the fucking time. It happens literally all the time. It's only with transgender people that people all of a sudden have a problem with name changes. There's no such thing as a biological name, dude. It doesn't exist. You made it up along with the Bible. It's not real. It's not real.
Of referring to someone who has transitioned, another hated piece of jargon and slogan, by the name and by the inference, the gender, really the sex, that everyone knew them by previously, and in the case of Ellen/Elliot, that millions of people recognized and knew. So I should have either called him, her, they, Elliot, instead of Ellen, although as we will discover, that would have made it impossible for me to say what I wanted to and need to say in the remaining phrases. Not that such a problem would bother those who are objecting to my speech in the first place. The next phrase is, just had her breasts removed. This bit suffers from a very similar problem. I employed the forbidden pronoun her when Elliot, Ellen, is now to be regarded as a he or else. But there's a conundrum here, to say the least, and not just for me, although I have been banned.
I'm gonna guess that this fucking freak is gonna say that men cannot have breasts. That's what I'm guessing is the territory that he's gonna go into. Let's find out.
Because of it, was Elliot/Ellen a she or a he, or Ellen or Elliot, when she or he or they, that's Elliot or Elian, by the way, had his or her.
First of all, they is not being brought up. Elliot's not non-binary. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, no one is bringing they up. You're just, like, what? And first of all, who is alien? Who is alien? I don't, like, what? Like, listen to this. This motherfucker's talking about aliens now?
Or he
Someone called Giorgio.
They, that's Elliot or Elian, by the way, had his or her or their breasts removed. If he or she was a he, then why was it necessary to have the mastectomy? And how could those I am writing to make sense of what I was saying if it was his breasts that were removed?
Okay. First of all, men all around the world have breasts, right? If you consume a lot of alcohol, right, you are more likely to develop breasts if you're a man, right? There's also a lot of intersex people that are identified male at birth, and then all of a sudden, they're like 15, and then they're like, whoa, what's going on? That happens all the time. There are more intersex people that this happens to than people that transition and get a mastectomy, right? So I don't know what the fuck this guy's talking about. This guy lives on like another planet and he's telling us about facts? Okay.
Those male breasts or female breasts that were removed? If they were male breasts, then why were they removed? If they were female breasts and had therefore become objectionable to the degree that surgery generally reserved for cancer treatment was required, was morally obligatory, then wasn't...
What? Surgery generally for cancer treatment? Like what? Like, who cares? Like, I don't like... who cares? Who cares if someone gets a surgery? If they pay for it and they want it, who cares? Like, I don't know. Like, and also, this guy who claims people cannot transition is now saying that breasts are what decide if you're a man or a woman? What? Like, I don't, like, what is this, like, so the definition of sex, whether or not you have titties? Okay, I mean, I'm open to that definition, but, like, what the fuck?
Elliot still Ellen, and he still she? How could I possibly have written that sentence in any sensible manner whatsoever, while simultaneously making my point understandably and not breaking Twitter rules against so-called hateful conduct? And Elliot Page just had his breasts removed? Was he Elliot then? When exactly? Exactly. He was definitely Ellen at some point in the past, or so indicate all his, her, them, their film credits. Will all those have to be reshot since they employed the hated dead name? That doesn't exist, by the way, that dead name category, except in this censorial and ad.
Again, people change their names all the time. Can someone queue up the videos of Jordan Peterson talking about Rafael Cruz to me? Has Jordan Peterson ever referred to the senator of Texas as Rafael Cruz? Does anyone know?
Minds of a tiny fraction of insanely narcissistic and increasingly dangerous trans activists. When precisely was it incumbent on me to switch my terminology in regard to Elliot/Ellen so that I was not engaging in hateful conduct?
To answer this question seriously, that moment would be when Elliot comes out. That's the moment. So beforehand, before anyone knew about that, how would are they reading the future? No. When someone comes out, and when you hear that they came out, that's when you make the change. It's that simple. It's not that difficult.
And how can I describe the fact that someone who was once a woman, and really still is, had her breasts cut off because she, he, they, their, them had fallen prey to a viciously harmful...
First of all, why is he saying them in this context? Like, that's how I talk to my dog. Like, you know, like, this is like no one says, oh, and then them got to the Burger King. No one says that. Unless I'm talking to my dog, and then I'll be like, right? Like, what is it? Like, does this guy know what a pronoun is? Like, seriously. Like, and if we went out of the conversation about, like, you know, neo pronouns, or, you know, that's fine, but that's not what Jordan Peterson is talking about. He's just grammatically this guy has written books, by the way. I maintain the belief that if this guy is able to write a book, anyone can write a book. You can write a book. I can write a book. My goddamn dog can write a book. If this fucking weirdo can write a book, anyone can.
Fad, without using the appropriate sex-linked pronoun and the real name of the real person to whom this...
Sex-linked pronoun. Pronouns are a part of speech. Speech is a part of language. What is it? I don't understand. What is a sex-linked pronoun? What?
Was really done with his, her, their voluntary but unfortunate acquiescence. And so it was impossible to communicate what had happened to my audience without apparently running afoul of the impossible and absurd rules that now hypothetically govern morality itself in the days of the degenerated postmodern and Marxist ethos that we must still, no matter how impossible it is, abide by, or else.
It's impossible to say him. It's impossible to say him. Check this out. Him. Huh? I guess I just did it. I guess it is possible.
And you might object. Ellen/Elliot is an adult, 30-something, and fully capable of making up his, her, their own mind about such things. And she, he, they are welcome from the liberal and the libertarian position to go to hell in a handbasket as she, he, they see fit.
What?
And fair enough to some.
So adults are okay to go to hell in a handbasket? What does that mean? What? Does Jordan Peterson actually believe in hell, by the way? Because that's hilarious.
Degree. But I don't believe it is either merely picayune or inappropriate to point out that Ellen/Elliot, who is quite a good actor/actress, is also a ritual model for emulation, being a star with all the privileges and, let us point out, the responsibilities that go along with that. So by acquiescing to this surgery and by publicizing it, and by insisting upon the sanctity and the moral virtue of his, her, their new, expensive, dangerous, and medically enhanced identity, and by participating in the whole...
Now again, I'm just curious, where is the danger? When does danger get involved?
Identity charade, Ellen/Elliot has undoubtedly, with his, her, their so-called courage, and remember the White House itself has tweeted out every indication of believing in the courage of those who transition, enticed many a poor, confused adolescent, girl most likely, to blame her emergent pubescent self-consciousness, confusion, and discomfort on being born in the wrong body and believing that the...
So, okay, it's dangerous. It's not dangerous, but it is dangerous because someone else might emulate that, and that's dangerous. Okay, so I have a question. Is Jordan Peterson going out there and pretending that God is real and that the Bible is real? Is that not dangerous? What if a kid watches this video and then is convinced hell is real, and so, I don't know, they run out into traffic and get killed so that they can go to heaven before they're able to sin? I'm just curious, like, telling people that God is real and that the Bible is a real thing and that they should be Christian, that is way more dangerous than someone saying, hey, by the way, I transitioned, I'm a guy now. That's not dangerous at all. Now, let's assume, okay, people love to talk about what if someone accidentally gets confused. What if? People get confused all the time. People make mistakes all the time. But again, to act like, oh, you can just buy, at the grocery store, just buy infinite amounts of hormones. Most of the time, you have to go to a doctor. And most of the time, the doctor will monitor you on these things. If you actually wanted people to be able to safely explore being able to transition, you would advocate for a universal healthcare system when you were able to go to the doctor, say, hey, by the way, I have gender dysphoria, I'm interested in transitioning. They would ask you a couple questions. They would prescribe you with some temporary puberty blockers. You would see if you feel like that, if that's okay, right? Again, they are reversible for an extended period of time. If you're on puberty blockers for like 8 years, maybe they're not reversible. But if you're on puberty blockers for like 2 years, you're completely okay, right? So I'm just saying, like, if you want people to have less danger from being confused, you would advocate for a universal healthcare system like they have in Canada.
Courageous, self-affirming, and morally admirable route is hormonal treatment, sterilization, subjugation to a lifetime of expensive medical complication. How delightfully profitable is that?
First of all, medical complication? What does that mean? Are people that get diagnosed with diabetes bad because they have to have a lifetime of medical complication? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't know, does getting addicted to benzos and having to go to like a Russian hospital to get like some weird secret healthcare because you were on an all-meat diet and you were completely lacking of any nutritional value whatsoever and your body was about to burn, like literally spontaneously combust? Is that... Like, again, this is the same guy They literally had to go to like a secret Russian hospital because of a stupid fucking dumbass fucking benzo addiction, telling other people what they can and cannot do because of potential medical complications. Did you think about medical complications before you downed a fucking bottle of Xanax, you stupid fuck? Jesus fucking Christ.
And misery. And I believe firmly that Ellen/Elliot, or whatever the hell her name or his name is, bears
Again,
moral...
this is not difficult. This is not difficult. Like, the act like as if the name is confusing is just, the name is not confusing. The pronoun, not confusing at all. It's not. They, like, someone comes out, right, transitions, says, by the way, I'm a him, my name is Elliot. There we go, confusion is over. Now, if, let's say someone starts to transition maybe a little bit in the physical sense, but hasn't come out yet. Like, let's say someone cuts their hair, starts testosterone or something, and their voice is a little deep, but they haven't come out yet, you know, and like, you know, like you think that they might be transitioning, but they haven't officially said anything, they haven't gotten a new name yet, then okay, maybe it's confusing. In this case, though, guess what? This is not confusing at all. Elliot Page came out, said, by the way, I'm a him. That's it. The confusion is over. As soon as the coming out process occurs, there's no more confusion. The confusion is over.
Culpability for that. And finally, with regard to the final phrase, criminal physician, I must say that I've had some post-coital, so to speak, regrets about that phrase. It is clearly the case that the surgical operation performed by the butchers who butchered Elliot/Ellen was legal. So, was it criminal or not? Were the operations undertaken by the fascist physicians who carried out the Nazi medical experiments legal?
What the fuck is this guy talking about, man? Okay, the Nazis burned books. Everyone loves to talk about Nazi book burnings. The first thing that the Nazis burned were books on transgender medical science. They burned down medical facilities that specialized in studying transgender people and providing them with health care. And then they destroyed all the records of it. That's the first thing they did, was to stop transgender healthcare and medicine. That was literally one of the highest priorities. As soon as the Nazis took power in Germany, that was right at the top of the list to make sure that people could not transition. And he is likening transgender people existing to being Nazis. When the Nazis, their goal was to destroy all records of transgender people ever in history. And again, whenever someone pretends to you that transgender people are new, oh, this is new, what they're doing is they are literally Hitler Youth. They have fallen for the Nazi propaganda that said that transgender people never existed. They never existed. They're made up. They're not real. They were never real. That's what the Nazis taught the Hitler Youth after they burned all the books and destroyed all the medical science and centers. So when someone goes out there and says, oh, trans people are new, they are Hitler Youth in that sense. They are practicing and preaching exactly what Adolf Hitler wanted them to. And that was the goal of Nazi book burnings, to destroy history.
Yes, under the laws of the time. But were they criminal? I'll leave that question up to you to answer.
Well, I think I already answered this question, and the answer seems to be, this guy's a fucking idiot.
And further, perhaps it might be objected, what about the damage done by hypothetically leaving those confused about their identity to dwell in their confusion? Aren't we morally obliged to intervene? And I would say, no. Why? Well, first, do no harm, as the Hippocratic Oath, remember that, insists. And second, it has been a matter of historical consensus that sins of omission are less egregious than sins of commission. Thus, leaving someone with gender dysphoria, no matter how warranted, and perhaps it is in a very tiny minority of truly unfortunate cases, to suffer
I love this. So, like, it would be easier for him to just say no one is allowed to transition. That would be the most logical statement. But for whatever reason, this guy is compelled to say, oh, some people might want to actually or need to transition. That cuts against your entire point. Literally, everything you've said in the first 13 minutes is undone. You just undid the whole video. The first 13, I could start the video right here. And that's all that I need to know, because he just undid it. He just clicked undo, Control Z. He just took it all away. If some people might actually need to transition, who are you to verify whether or not Elliot Page is one of those people that actually needs to transition? You're not. And so if people do actually need to transition, like you acknowledge, why bully and harass them about it and make a 15-minute short film? It's weird.
The consequences of the theoretical mismatch between soul and body is less of a risk ethically, personally, socially, and philosophically than the extremely active intervention that constitutes so-called gender-confirming, another hated phrase, surgery.
What does that mean, hated? Does that mean he hates it? Like, I can say conservatism, a hated phrase, but in reality, I mean conservatism, I think it's a stupid fucking word. It doesn't mean anything. Like, what is hated implies that, like, all of society is like, oh... Like, no, this is just your own, this is you. This is your opinion.
I might also point out that the trans surgery enterprise is now a $300 million per annum growth industry.
Okay, you don't want people to profit off of medical procedures? Universal fucking healthcare! Are people not allowed to get treated for cancer because the doctors and physicians and the hospitals and insurance companies might profit off of it? If you are against medical profit, guess what? Universal health care. That's all you gotta say. It's in Canada. What the fuck?
Rate of projected expansion, 15% per year. Projected increase by 2027 to $750 million per year.
You know what the projected increase counts for? Inflation. Not only just inflation in the general sense of the dollar's value, but inflation on medical bills, because insurance companies continue to price gouge people and charge more and more and more and more for the same fucking thing. When I started my transition several years ago, it was a lot cheaper than it is right now for certain things, like getting blood tests, right? Certain kinds of hormone availabilities, right? You know, it's one, the dollar is inflating in that way, right? And then also medical companies and insurance companies, they also will continue to price gouge. They will outpace inflation, right? So if you want to solve the medical profiteering, guess what? Universal fucking healthcare. It's that simple.
An expanding enterprise in a time of global uncertainty. Time to invest, both in the requisite surgical skills and perhaps in any industry associated with this vicious and unconscionable fad.
What about cancer? I could invest in companies that, you know, treat people for cancer. And you know what? I would probably make money on that investment because, again, this stupid fucking country, right, loves to profit off of sick people. And I can make a bet that things like PFAS, right, are going to cause more cancer in more people. And that therefore, if I were to throw 10K into a cancer company, I would probably make money. Does that mean no one should get cancer treatments? What? The guy's on drugs. And I mean that sincerely. I mean that literally. He's on benzos right now. Probably. I don't know. All I know is that this guy's an addict. Now, again, a lot of people get pissed off. How dare you make fun of someone's addiction? That should be off limits. This motherfucker is literally saying other people who need healthcare shouldn't get it. Meanwhile, he made horrible life decisions, got addicted to a pill, was rich enough to be able to afford healthcare, which most people that are addicted to benzos cannot afford healthcare, and they probably end up in fucking jail, by the way. A lot of drug addicts in this country and around the world end up in jail or dead because they do not have the resources to be able to afford rehabilitation services, right? So, you know what? Fuck you. I'm gonna make fun of this stupid fuck's addiction. Because he's a fucking moron. He's addicted to the Bible, he's addicted to Jesus, and he's addicted to motherfucking benzos. Which, by the way, if you're going to be addicted to any drug, I'm just saying, benzos are cool. I've had a lot of fun with benzos in my time. But there's a lot way cooler drugs to get addicted to. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing that out there. Not that I advocate to get addicted to drugs. Not that I advocate for that. I'm just saying, if anyone's going to get addicted to anything, benzos, not on my list. And that's my personal opinion.
Primarily entangling, as such things so often do, the youthful and female. Isn't that a concern, intersectionalists?
What?
Not when push comes to shove. Or
what is the concern? That young people will, like, want healthcare? Like, what is the concern? I don't know what the fuck, what?
Apology to scalpel. Is that not a true moral hazard? And I'm not taking down that tweet or acknowledging that my tweet violated the Twitter rules. Up yours, woke moralists.
Woke moralists? What does that mean? What does woke mean? Like, seriously, what the fuck does that mean? It doesn't mean anything.
We'll see who cancels who. Twitter's a rat hole in the final analysis, and I have probably contributed to that while trying to use, understand, and master that horrible, toxic platform. No doubt, I owe some apologies.
Emphasis on try. Because he has tried, for sure. And failed?
For that, and I'm trying to learn. But it's a relief, in some real sense, to be banned. And I regard it, under the present conditions, as a badge of honor.
And then, Jordan Peterson uncensored now on Daily Wire. Wow. I mean, I'm actually shocked I got through it, but, you know, sunken cost fallacy. In conclusion, this guy's a crybaby, Jesus, freak, Bible thumping lunatic. And literally at the 13-minute mark, acknowledge, like, again, if Jordan Peterson just said no one is allowed to transition, the only thing that matters is sex assigned at birth, and intersex people, I'm just going to forget that they exist or not, just ignore them entirely, that argument would make more sense. But the fact that he says that there's a window for some people to legitimately medically transition literally undoes everything else that he says. I don't know why he says that. It really doesn't make any sense. So this is an incoherent, rambly short film. I mean, the acting, not bad. The acting, pretty good. I'm not going to lie. Could use some work. But I think this guy's got potential. Maybe Jordan Peterson should get into an acting career. Anyway, there you go. Dumb fuck motherfucker episode whatever the fuck. And there you go. That's pretty funny. Anyway, folks, I was going to do a movie review.